Well, let's get the views from our panel now. Rebecca, what do you make of all of this latest development?
I mean, the video clip that has been released overnight by CBS ahead of the interview with Oprah that's going to be aired on Sunday is truly extraordinary. I mean, we're already hearing reports of, palace staff joking they needed to hide behind the sofa. But the gloves are well and truly off. I mean, Meghan makes very clear in this clip that she believes that there was an orchestrated smear campaign, a campaign of lies, I think she said, against her by Buckingham Palace, by the firm, she says. And the firm, of course, we refer to as the royal family. And when it's put to her, look, do you think by saying these things you might effectively be burning bridges? And she says, well, I think a lot's been lost already. I mean, it's, it truly is going to be Windsor versus Windsor on Sunday night.
My gosh. And Angela, this isn't the first time that Harry's talked about his mother and the media and the connection that's really seared into his brain on that, is it?
No, he's done it quite a lot, actually. He accused the press very much about his mother when she and Charles split, and she stopped having all the protection officers that would have looked after her. So the paparazzi and journalists would crowd around the car and she would burst into tears. And Harry said that, it's outrageous what they've been doing. And she tried to struggle by turning Enya, it's a Irish singer, on very, very loud, and they all tried to sing it all the way through until they could get away from the paparazzi. And then, of course, he was an unprecedented complaint about them in November 2016 about how they were treating Meghan. The fact that they were a couple was now publicized, and he said it was utterly disgusting. In other words, did they want to get rid of her? And they were sexist and racist. Those two things have gone all the way through all these years, and that he didn't want what happened to his mother to happen to her. And there are several other ways that he's disliked them. When I went to see him in Kensington Palace, I said, I know he doesn't like journalists, but how hard will it be to talk to him by myself? And they said, no, he hates them all basically, but he does beginning to realize that one or two might be okay. And I think that's been his view for a very long time.
Richard, I thought it was extraordinary that the first clip was largely Oprah's facial expressions and reactions and not really no words from Meghan at all. What do you make of that?
Well, remember that in this interview, there's three people, and there's no doubt who the most famous and the most popular and the most successful is, and that's Oprah. So what we saw was Oprah's, reactions and her billing this as the most amazing thing she'd heard. And it was very much that, Oprah is the star and that she's allowed these two onto her show, essentially. And remember that they've courted her much more than she's courted them. So I think they're sort of basking in reflected glory of Oprah. But of course, then in the second clip, which was released today on Thursday, we've seen Meghan speaking, and my goodness, she did have something to say. I mean, accusing the firm, which I've heard, it's really an affectionate term to the royal family. It doesn't refer to Buckingham Palace or the royal household. It really is the family. So accusing the family of peddling falsehoods, really is provocative stuff.
How much credibility do you think that has, Rebecca, that there was this calculated campaign against her?
Well, I mean, the palace say, I do believe on this, very little credibility at all. As someone said to me yesterday, there is more going on in the world, and by that they mean the pandemic, but also the Duke of Edinburgh in hospital, for us to worry about than this kind of circus around a media interview. And they were really deeply, deeply offended by her suggestion via a spokesman that the royal family have been kind of peddling a smear campaign against her. particularly in reference to the allegations of bullying. It was like, well, why would we do that? You know, we don't need this. We really, really don't need this. So they're really deeply offended by some of the accusations that she's made. And obviously we may only have seen the tip of the iceberg of the accusations that she's likely to make.